say the residents that actually live in the precinct are law-abiding.
The everyday average working man, the respectable people, we have no problems at all.
The only time they don't like you is when you catch them doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
And all the time I've been here, I've never really had any problems with the community itself. I don't consider this, you know, riffraff and whatnot out here in the street part of the community.
If you've got a job to do as a policeman, and you might get about 5% of them might give you trouble, and the other 95 don't give you much trouble because they know whether they're wrong or right. They know who you are.
Let's get somebody on it then, I mean.
Wait a minute, Wally.
Take this red tape paperwork. Suppose he can't write his contract break on it, I mean. Red tape is good. They show you the form they used back when George Washington came over here. Write it all down.
You know what I want from the police?
What's that?
I want the police to protect life and property in my neighborhood, and that's all. If you do that, then you'll cover everything else.
I've seen them twice that I can remember, ride through this street. But never once have I seen them walk through this street. Never once.
They don't seem to let you get along with them, you know.
As the police concerned, that's something I don't deal too much with, but as far as I can see and know about, it seems as though they get along all right. As far as I know.
I can't work with a road. Can't get along, man. I've been fighting roads there since I was young.
Yeah, they still calling us niggas, man.
The real man to ask is the hard-working, lower middle class, father of family black man who really wants it. He's the worst prey of crime than I am.
But the point is, the rod came through here and messed up everything. It burnt everything. And that's what closed them down. The white boys run. They ran.
All those in favor, raise their hand. All those opposed?
5.
All right, the motion is carried. We'll proceed with the election of your chairman and vice chairman. First of all, I would hope that the chairman and vice chairman would work closely with the staff in doing such things as reviewing previous meetings, minutes of previous meetings, perhaps developing an agenda according to what the chairman wishes. Well, it's still open for nominations, Chairman. Are there any additional nominations for chairman?
Nobody's got their hand up.
Can we stick to our main job first, and that is getting the precinct selected? Can we give each person who is on this committee credit for being a fair-minded citizen? If we're going to sit up and anticipate everything that can go wrong, it will never get off of the ground.
It says the committee will have complete freedom in determining the criteria by which the site for the pilot program is to be chosen. We're into our third meeting, and most of us are busy, and the thing is so simple. And I feel that the old business is simply what's in this letter. We haven't done this. And I'd also like to recommend that we ought to have a parliamentarian appointed by the committee so that all of us can quit playing games, because this is what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks.
I would move that this committee appoint a committee from among volunteers.
It'll be helpful if the chair got a little chair.
Out of order when you haven't heard it.
We got a motion and an amendment on the floor.
Hey.
So we've got...
I suggest that we make much better meetings if the chair didn't participate too much.
You know, I've listened to discourteous people long enough in this meeting.
Make a poor chairman.
I can't understand it.
The chairman should not talk as much as you.
Man, I don't dig this at all.
You know, for people that believe in orderly procedures, it's one peculiar thing to jump up in the meeting and start yelling. Marion?
Everybody and his mother knows that the police is the #1 problem in America. And if you all don't want to deal with that, that's your problem. But at least let me have a say-so and whether or not it's the kind of thing I want. And I don't think a lot of us understand that. Maybe we're happy that the mayor asked us to come here. I'm not. You know, no big thing for me. I've been on more important committees than this. So I'm saying that my issue is how do you get the committee to use its power? Now, I'm not concerned about what happens to Marion Barry because when I go out here, more than likely, I can deal with the police, more than likely. But I'm talking about what do we do for the 600,000 black people out here who do have a problem with the police.
I move that the secretary
call the roll and let each person at this point state whether or not he can carry out the charges of this letter as he was appointed by the mayor. You have the motion, Mr. Chairman. All you're supposed to do is put it on the floor.
It'd be nice if I could, if we could understand it.
Well,
I understand what Mr. Baldwin's motion is.
You have the motion, Mr. Chairman. All you're supposed to do is put it on the floor.
I think this motion was covered in the first meeting. We all voted at the first meeting to carry out what it was we were called here for. So I don't see any point in having another roll call.
I have a motion now, Mr. Chairman, on the floor.
Second the motion.
All those in favor of...
Vote by roll call, and that was I said originally, by roll call.
Oh.
Yeah, by roll call.
Secretary, like to read the roll?
James Baldwin.
Yes.
Marion Barry.
No.
Virgil Hines.
Brown, 1st to 8th on the hour, station at 1. Moody, 8th to 13th on the half. 1:34 when Woods goes to court this afternoon. And 408T from 8 to 12. Littles, 13th to 16th on the hour. 14th in V is a school crossing all day. Marble, 16th to 19th. 1:32.
I mean, no, man.
Don't walk up on me, bro.
I mean,
no. I didn't stop.
I mean, no. Yeah, I mean, don't hit him, James. Don't hit him, man.
Get up, bro. Get up, boy. Damn.
What's wrong with him?
Jump for one.
Come on, babe.
Come on, walk around here. Try to come here and take, bro.
Come on with him, man.
Bro. Come on. Bro. Let's grab his leg. You take the coat, I take it.
Carry him up there. Okay. How did he get drunk?
So my point is very simple. I feel that if I'm going to be out there, and I don't mind, 'cause I got a tough back, that I ought to get something for people out here in the community. I think that's my role as a leader, or in leadership position, is to get something if I can do it, and be beat to death if I can do it. But if I'm going to be beat to death, I might as well get something for it, and I'm talking about the control of this whole program. That's why I can't move ahead. That's why I got problems. That's why I can't get the enthusiasm to go.
Now, it seems to me that that last statement in here says, if there are any questions, please call Mr. Shellow's office. Now, I don't know whether anybody else called Mr. Shellow's office, whether anybody had conferences with Mr. Shellow. I know I did.
Mrs. Sarpy, I did not contact Mr. Shallow. I had quite a few questions, so I confess to negligence in that particular respect. I would like to ask for some direction. I'm interested in the overall objectives and specifically how, once the precinct has been selected and either erected or occupied, it will function to speak directly to the problems for which this committee was created. And I'd like to hear that from you, sir.
A pilot precinct implies that there's an experimental quality to it. That means that we're going to try out new ideas. We're going to try out another relationship between the police and the citizenry.
So who is we and who's going to control?
We represent, in this case, the city government, no? The police.
You're not really talking about this committee, then, when you say we are going to try to make innovations.
Not at all.
All right. Thank you. No, I want you to finish. I didn't want to.
Okay. The overall goal of the project is to try to get at what we recognize is now a pervasive distrust between the citizens and the police. Now, when you talk about control, it falls short of a total citizen control of the precinct. And there was never any provision in the grant or in the plan for that sort of control. That's absolute control. Is that clear?
We in the black community see the police as enemies. And I remind everybody here that I may very well be shot as I walk out of that door if I happen to anger some white policeman. I'm very much aware of that, and every black person is. And therefore, we want to control those individuals, especially since the central police force is not capable of even recruiting the capable black men in this black city. It has to go out to places like Odd, West Virginia, and find individuals who have very questionable backgrounds. I, Charles Cassell, can no longer serve on a committee which cannot possibly make changes if it functions only in an advisory capacity. I see a constant recurrence of the conflict between the police and the community until the community finally has some measure of control over the police. That means to make decisions.
We are sitting here today trying to select the area, and it was not going as long as we keep having this stuff. Look at this stuff.
With your meeting, you select your precinct, but whatever precinct that you put it in, Marshall Brown will put every heart, every drop of blood, every energy that I have from now on to organize against this goddamn thing. And you go ahead and do what you're going to have to do. So I'll leave, and you get your people. Yes, sir.
Oh, I don't think this is right. To come here and have people to want to, petty politics, that's what it is, petty politics, as small as they can get. You know, because some people come in here within their minds to cause confusion what is happening here. I come here away from my people to try to do something that's going to help the city and the kids and everything else, and y'all people sit up here to play games. You know, when you get straightened out, Mr. Secretary, I'm not saying I'm resigning, but if they get any kind of understanding, right, send me a letter, postcard, or something, so I can come back here and we can get together on this thing, please.
And to sample these wishes, tonight hearings are being held in 3 of the precincts.
Can we get a truthful vote for number 13 precinct out of this audience?
It's not anybody who lives in this precinct that's black and that's court-held from the police department wants this program.
We select who works in the neighborhood, and if he lives in the neighborhood, and if he's black, it's very unlikely he's going to be coming down on his brother.
Regardless of how we vote, we are the people of yesterday. You can't buy the youth anymore.
But why is all of these black community got this pilot program? We're tired of being guinea pigs.
Think about the pilot police. White folks is conning again.
When your name is called, you give the precinct of your choice.
Mr. Edward Brooks. 2. Precinct 2. Mr. Virgil Crimes.
14.
14. Monsignor Gingras. 14. Number 13. Mr. Theodore Higgins.
Number 13.
Number 13. Mrs. Elizabeth Sarpy. Number 2. Mr. John Zoyak.
Mr. Chairman, Federation of Citizens Association instructed me to vote for no precinct. It is opposed to the concept of the model precinct.
All right. The results of that ballot was number 13 has 14, number 14 has 11, and number 2 has 6.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether we should not close with a prayer rather than open with a prayer today. This is what citizen participation is, and it may be a long process, but I have faith that in the long run it's the sound one. I think that the wisdom of your choice will be borne out, and we'll try the best we can to do as good a job as we can in 13 as in any of the other precincts.
I'm over here. Any other business anybody would like to bring up? Not in the meeting. Second adjourned.
Regarding how to set up an election, this is a very complicated thing. It turns out to be also rather expensive.
How many on the board?
No decision on that either.
I don't think you people have the right concept on this when you think that a police force is an adversary force occupying a territory. And I told that right to Mayor Washington, right smack in his face.
Because they don't accept me as a first-class citizen, so I have to do it myself. No, I'm not. Name a place where I'm a first-class citizen.
Well, I think all the laws provide that you are.
Well, nobody abide by the law. They did. We wouldn't have to go to the police pilot thing.
Well, now,
nobody abide by the law.
Just tell me where you're not accepted on that. I think you've got all the rights By law, haven't you?
And so the group is so agreed, and this is your program, and
Anyway, you get paid.
has everybody signed so they could be paid? Gentlemen, shall we begin to talk to the issues that have most importance to you, and feel free to talk.
We're going to get a lot of training in the next year and a half.
As it stands right now, we're supposed to be finding out what the problems of the citizen on the street are and how we should better react to them. How about them finding out about what our problems are, too?
I made a suggestion, which was, in order to reach these people, is to have them here. The leaders, the Gaston Neals, the Rat Browns, the Marion Barrys,
They're heard more than the decent citizens, because decent citizens go to work in the morning, they come home at night, and they're home, and that's it. They go out. The only time they're heard from is when they go down to the store and get robbed.
How do you gentlemen feel about how that citizens group ought to operate? Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Anything at all that we do here is worth a try to avoid some of the disastrous things that have happened throughout many cities in this country that we've all been ashamed of.
I don't know. Are we getting real readings on what the opinion is out in the community?
There seems to be some attitude among maybe some of us that the citizens in this precinct have a completely negative attitude towards the police officers, and I don't believe this is true at all.
Maybe everybody's not convinced of that.
It's still not going to appease the militants down there that are causing so much of the problem to begin with. So whatever we do here is not going to help the situation down there at all. It's got to be the people down there.
May I have your attention, please? Why, number 13, selected as a pilot precinct when it was under strong protest. They voted that the 13th precinct should get the project. Who is they?
This project is an experiment. This is your opportunity, beginning opportunity, the citizens of the 13th precinct, from one end to the other, top to bottom, to have a say in police policy in your precinct.
I see right here. We don't listen to what you have to say. I was one of those persons. And I went to the first meeting in the hope that I could get something done for black citizens in terms of police department. But when I got there, I discovered that the program had already been packaged and put together. Secondly, what we discovered was that when we finally got down to the nitty-gritty, these citizens would have more or less an advisory role rather than a control role over the police. And so I think we ought to understand this. Isn't that we're going to let them know we don't want this precinct pilot program like it is, or we're going to control it. And if we can't control it, I think we're running out of here. That's my personal
I tell you, I am actually ashamed that these young people are in my generation. If I were to do some of the stuff these punks are doing out on the street now, my old man would kick my fanny up around my ears. Personally, I believe a police officer's job is to enforce the law as written, and not to be a sociologist or a psychiatrist. There's a heck of a lot of times when you've got to be, sure, but they should teach you the law.
Here, somebody, cold cocked him out here, put him out in the other guy around the corner, somebody he didn't want to hit him.
Jesus Christ. You mean that's what the firebox for? You all right, man?
Well, I know it. The pool room, running.
All right, now look, Mr. Wallace.
Okay.
You were inside the pool room, right? Yeah. You were playing pool. All right, what happened then? You were in there playing pool. Did somebody just walk up and hit you?
Yeah.
For no reason at all?
Yeah. We're playing pool. Okay. Yeah. You gonna do this, you gonna do bam-a-lam, bam-a-lam.
Well, what were you arguing about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You bound to know why he hit you.
Well, he didn't hit me.
Well, all right, I know he didn't hit you. But now you were standing there arguing with somebody. You say you don't know who he is, you don't know who he looked like, you don't know anything. He just hit you. Why?
I think I'm running out on him.
For what?
I don't know why. You know, we're social for fellas.
What happened?
Okay, Mr. Wallace, look.
Come. Oh, you can come with me.
Going in there with her right now. What can you do like this?
people fail to understand that it's the times that we are living in now because of the decisions of the Supreme Court, and then, of course, all these here, these here minority groups rebelling, and the majority of the people are frustrated to some degree.
Policeman goes down the street and tries to make an arrest. Well, there's 15 people that are ready to jump on him.
In the situation at 14th and Euclid, that Mrs. Haskins had already backed me down the steps and back out onto the sidewalk and into the street. And all this time, I hadn't drawn my service revolver, and I would ask people along the side of the street, will you help me? Will you help me? And nobody would help. They were all sitting there, they were clapping and laughing, and, you know, get him, and all this. And then after I did draw my service revolver, I still kept asking, will you help me? Will you help me? And no, they'd sit there and clap and they'll laugh. And the first shot, I shot the woman in the leg. The first shot hit her. That should have stopped her. No, it didn't. I kept going, and then finally I fell, and it hit my arm, and I shot her in the stomach then. But if they had helped when I asked them to, anyone, everything could have been avoided, because had someone helped, I would never have drawn the service revolver.
None of the people actually stepped in and said, look, Mrs. Haskins, this is an officer, lay down your knife and behave yourself. Nobody ever did that.
In that same situation, I can guarantee you one thing. If it ever happens again, I won't wait till I bust my arm before I shoot.
It would do no good for those of us who oppose the project in one form or another to come and just talk to ourselves. So we invited Mr. Shallow, Mr. Morgan over for you citizens who live in this community to express yourselves the way you feel it. And I just sort of point to people and ask for comments.
What confuses me is that how in the hell can you do in 1 or 2 days what the FBI Academy, the Secret Service, and all of this morass of travail that the Metropolitan Police go through for their training? How can you act as a panacea when they have failed? Now, both of you can wrestle with that, and I'm going to yield the floor to my brothers and sisters.
In the training program, we will offer 300 hours of training. This project intends to do something that has not been done in any city in the United States.
In other words, the 13th Precinct police officers are already in this program, in training, in orientation, and being paid from the grant.
That's right.
Who is orienting them?
Well, the staff is telling them about the project at the beginning. Incidentally, neither Dr. Ringer nor myself have ever been police officers.
I believe your background, though, is in urban psychology or dealing with police problems in the so-called ghetto.
No, I'm not a specialist on ghetto problems, so-called ghetto. I don't know what a ghetto is, but I'm not a specialist.
Were you not influential in working with the Presidential Committee on Crime and Inner City?
I was third in charge of the Kerner Commission. That's the riot commission.
Oh, where did that take place? In the suburbia, Mr. Shello?
No, that did not. Have you read the Kerner Commission report?
The first thing he should have did, as he speak about the criteria, that's what you got to do. Go down and get the soul people, the people who knows what it's like or what these people's frustration is. Believe me, brother, you have directed wrong.
This is our third time to assemble. I'm saying to these messengers, if the leprechaun had the taste of watermelon in his mouth, he would not be wanting to sell us a political package loaded with substitutes, but perhaps suggest a design and installation of a circle at 14th and U, the bronze statue of Martin Luther King looking south. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There it is. Deal with it. Thank you.
I'm speaking for a whole lot of people in this community who have supported me in my efforts to sabotage or stop the model precinct project.
You ask, number one, that someone be placed in charge of Dr. Shallow. Is that correct? You ask that the police training be stopped. Is that correct? Right. It has stopped. Yes, sir. Is that correct? Yes, now, all right. right now. I mean, where do we go from here?
There's no police training going on. No police training going on. What?
The fact is, we are at war against the model precinct project, which means I violated every statute of war by taking your propaganda and giving it out to the community. And still they reject it. Now, what else you want me to do?
Well, that's why we gave it to you. But we're saying, let them reject it by a popular ballot.
It will not work.
Give the people the right to speak themselves. That's all we're trying to tell you we're on the same side.
I frankly think that if you guys hadn't prevented us from getting an election, we'd have a board in existence right now. But unfortunately, we didn't have a board. Unfortunately, we've been sort of bogged down for the last month.
Mr. Barry's office, may I help you?
We're not going to pay federal excise tax, right?
Well, to get it back.
I don't think we are.
Get it back being a government agency.
Yeah.
Is Mrs. Harrison? This is Marion. Who's this? Is she coming in today? Is Walter Washington in?
Because of constant struggling and agitation, on February 19th, the election of a rubber stamp board was stopped by citizens. We brought the government to agree that the elected citizen board will have complete control over the budget and spending of monies for all programs relating to the community aspects of the project. The citizen board will have complete control over hiring and operations of staff employed to work with the project, except as may otherwise be delegated by the board to other persons. At that point, an election process will be set up that will, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, have elected neighborhood boards. As I said earlier, this is a people's victory, a victory for community control. Now, as to our specific plans,
In this letter to the mayor of April 24th, the 5 demands, is this really another project? Are we talking about another project? Does it depart that much from the conditions that were set down in the grant itself?
Don't know really what is meant by them.
Control over the staff, the hiring, I assume the firing of the staff as well. What do we got?
Get rid of one of us, we have the right of appeal right on up into the courts.
Do you feel that if we met these demands, that they would come up again with further demands?
That's a good question.
Those demands aren't substantially different from the kind of citizen input that should be in the police department from the very outset.
Time through this project for a complete push on citizens' control. I don't think this is the proper vehicle.
That's a sort of a political reality, if you will.
Well, that's why timing is so important.
Yeah.
That's why timing need be considered with what we're doing here.
This meeting was called to discuss the procedures for the election of the board.
You know, I served many months to try to get a better model precinct, meaning one that is more relevant to the black community. If these people are set up to do this thing for the black community, then why are they challenged before they get the job done?
Who are these people that have been elected to this board? And I want to see them right now. They're here. Where are they at? I want all of them to stand up.
I want to move this agenda, Madam Chairman.
I want my hand.
I am not going to run over anybody, Mr. Jones. This man has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can all be ladies and gentlemen. And I hope we can have citizens' participation without having to use profane and vulgar language.
You're going to deal with it. You're dealing with it.
Thompson, how are you?
Hi, Mr. Morgan.
Good to see you. Oh, Monsignor. Oh, you, sir. Good. Good to see you. You want to go right in.
You have the right.
Yeah, you guys get ready. Hello. Fine. Take that too, and you didn't get in it.
No, I don't understand that.
The young man is with the card right there.
Where?
He's just come in. The young man.
Well, I know we close his store.
All right. Mr. Berry may be permitted as an individual. Okay?
It's 2:30.
Okay.
That's plenty of time.
Okay. Ask Mr. Berry to come in. Ask Mr. Berry to come in.
Go right in if you like. Hey, you.
Hi, how are you?
Number one, this project is supposed to be for the citizens of the 3rd District. Now, I think it's unfair for Mr. Duncan and Mr. Shallow to select the people to come here. I know at least 10 or 15 organizations and people who have not gotten an invitation to come here. I think that's unfair.
This is by invitation only. I don't have a copy.
Mr. Roloff, gentlemen. Sarge,
Excuse me. Sarge, all right.
Mr. Roloff.
Mr. Man's bad. Stop fucking with him.
If you look, don't you don't look what you're doing. Hold it, move back.
We don't
That's
want
the kind of meeting you got going on in there. And you folks are supposed to be protecting the citizens, you ain't doing shit.
We can conduct our own meeting in the 3rd District. And I live in the 3rd District. I live in the 3rd District. See, you dig it? I work in the 3rd District, dig it? And I deserve, the people out there live there deserve the right to be here, and they're going to come in here as long as I'm in here. And ain't nobody going to put me out either.
Don't push me. You don't make me late, man. You better watch. Don't deal with it, man. Go ahead in there and break up that simple-ass meeting.
We don't need the police
We don't
here.
need all the police out there.
And we'll have order in this meeting. We'll have order. No, we'll have order.
We need them.
Every meeting you've been to, order, right? Wait, hold it. Every meeting that we have called, every meeting we have called has been ordered. Silence. Everybody. What your crowd?
Get up.
The issue is whether people outside can come in. The issue is whether people outside can come in.
Order.
So what?
To order.
Bang again. It is order. We want the people outside, inside. That's all. No, I'm going to stay in here where I was
It is not fair to let a crowd out, because they're all a crowd from one organization, to pack the meeting.
The problem is predominantly one of protection. You be quiet, I listen to you. It's one of protection for people and one of services. Right. Can I talk? We listen to you.
Meeting now, adjourned.
Yeah, they're putting everybody out. See that what they're doing? They're putting everybody out right here. See that? Let's go down to the Y, everybody, and have a meeting.
The meeting's over.
Sergeant.
The meeting's over, I said. Go ahead and
Touch me, arrested. You're not going to walk.
Don't walk through me. I'm not moving. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think you're strong as I am. And I believe that. I'm tired. I believe it from my heart. I ain't gonna harm you if you don't harm me. I ain't gonna touch you if you don't touch me. Believe that, brother.
Sergeant Schulze, stop. Sergeant Ingram on 2633. 10-4.
How bad is it? Whip that shit off.
So today what you saw was some of us raising questions of who's going to control the project. We told Robert Shallow and Charlie Duncan that they couldn't on their own come into our community and do what they wanted to do. OEO, at some point, is going to have to get tired of the project going on without any board. They got to do that. For those of you all that are new, it has taken us 15 months to go this far, and we've learned a lot. So a lot of what you might be thinking, a lot of questions you might have and not quite answered, just rest assured that we are working from experience, and we're going to do everything we can to protect the interests of all citizens at all times, that you have to sort of learn with us as you go and sort of trust that we're going to move and keep the thing going.
Revolution has come.
Time to pick up the gun. Revolution has come.
Jailhouse.
Time to pick up
I know.
the
Work in the jailhouse, man. Mama hog and daddy hog was sliding around and came up with a penny.
Revolution has come. Time to pick up the gun. Revolution has come. Time to pick up the gun.
I hope that my resignation will make it possible to have a clean election. I'm a white man, and I've learned through my upbringing to to have derogatory attitudes about blacks, and it's in me. It's deep in me, just as it is in many of my fellow whites. Just as distrust and perhaps hatred of whites is so deeply ingrained in many blacks, and it's a sickness. Racism is a sickness, and it's like it's a chronic illness. It's like malaria or diabetes. You never shake it. You never can get rid of it throughout your entire life. But you got to have an antidote for it. You have to have some kind of control for it.
February 7th for Roosevelt King, who will fight for you all the way to the top.
How y'all brothers doing today? Brother wants you to come on out and vote tomorrow now in our election.
All right. We have people of various and sundry types running. We have the whites and the blacks and the Spanish, the poor and the youth.
I think, first of all, we should recognize that everybody is opposed to crime.
What we really want is a police force that is our friend, but also our protector.
This is just a beginning step. And I hope the citizens don't think that we are going to be miracle workers, that we're going to solve all the problems. The third district, we ain't going to do it with this board or with 5 other boards.
I was born in a ward. I'm a graduate of the Morgan School down the hill. My children went to this school at one time a number of years ago.
I was on a platform Sunday night with my opponent. I don't see him here tonight. Is he here? Well, you won't be coming.
I can't promise I'm coming.
No.
Because I have to go to take my wife to work.
And these are the things we are trying to get rid of. Hate, anger, crime. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Would you like to let me explain to you about the project or maybe some other time? Okay, thank you.
I want to serve. I like this community. Thank you.
First of all, you have to register. Wait a minute. Sign right there. Then I hear Roosevelt's name called.
No, Roosevelt. That's correct.
I think this is tremendously exciting. Which way do we go?
Thank you.
Okay.
What do you mean, like identification?
Yes, sir. This is what? I know.
Yeah, probably one of my pants or my I'm retired. My friend, see what I brought in my pants with.
All right. Let me know if I can help you.
You have to use it. Where's the bell box?
Bell box here. I'll take it. Okay, thank you very much. Ballots are those that are printed on the ballot.
I tore that one myself.
Counting in Ward 3.
We're not counting Ward 3 at the moment.
After we get these lined up, we'll get rid of the tally sheet.
2, 23, 24, 25, 26.
Have that are completed. Send those out of the way.
Law, Barry.
There are some things we ought to start talking about. I think we've gotten a green light to go forth and propose anything we want to, and to have broad latitude in terms of how we influence this project. And I think we'll take advantage of it while we can, because I think that at some point we might not be able to. But I do think that there are 2 things that just have to happen. We really need that initial program committee to start jotting down some ideas for us to consider. And we desperately need, on this Saturday, to meet and adopt a structure of some kind so we can start moving.
through the 5 standing committees, will present a proposal. You have your Public Relations Committee, you have your Police Procedures Committee, your Police Training Committee, your Community Involvement Committee, your Community Actions Committee, and your Personnel Committee. If the board accepts it, then the proposal, along with the proposed budget and the number of persons that will be needed, if necessary, to institute the project, goes to OEO. And if we do have enough money budgeted to go into it, we then begin operation on it. Now, whether this will mean all of these programs or just some of them, again, only time will tell.
Officers, I've been assigned to Scout 94 for this evening, 4 to midnight shift. May I have your last name and badge number, please?
P. Lindsay, 3761.
J. Valenti, badge number is 2218.
Got 90, check for signal 9, 1405 Gerard, Northwest, 1619. Simple. EMS there. Scout 91. Just know you're calling auto. Hey, it's
Scout 89. So why don't you pull over and let her get off? And what did you do?
I pull right on, I'll come right on.
Block.
She live right here.
You got a ticket for not having your headgear on. So if you want to ride anybody, you better buy yourself another helmet.
How much is cost?
I have no idea. You have to go to the station. The Citizens Board determined that one of the things they needed to do is to recruit more local people into the police department. The 3rd district is a bit over 70% black, but yet the white applicants you have up from the fields of North Carolina and whatnot. The whole aim of it, again, is to get more inner-city young men into this police department and change its complexion, perhaps, as well as its way of operating. That may take years, but at least we're making a start.
So, here I am. If I want a good life, I should want a wife and children. And that's a real good reason for becoming a policeman. Wow.
At approximately 7 p.m., they were completely burned out. They lost everything. All right, you are the mother of 10 children? Yes. And 5 months ago, you just lost your husband. Is this right? Yes. See? Do you have any idea how the fight started?
Yes, the fireman said that gasoline was all around, all over the furniture.
Mr. Wiggins, were you there at the time?
No, at the time I was attending traffic school, but I'm sure that I know who had this done, but I'm not sure who did it for.
Would you rather have a smaller pack or light? No, you put something there, didn't you, for me? This is milk for me, because I saw that on the list last department. What about some corn? Like, if you want me to help you do something a little later on this evening, then what I'll just stop by and let me know. And I don't have anything in particular to do this evening, okay? All right?
The people in the community are complimenting you. There's no sham. We know that we're doing a good job, but suppose, like at the end of April, the fund's in. Ain't no more money. What are we going to do if, if they don't fund us? Anybody want to react to that question? We got all the necessary criteria for this being a meaningful project, a successful program. So I don't see no way possible that it could really end.
To me, it was a test thing to see what we were capable of doing and what we weren't. I want to look forward to it, but that's like everything else,
A lot of us, man, have been into things like hustling or doing other type of, illegal activities to exist. And this job right here is taking us away from that, where we don't have to go through them type of change, So I think if they took this program away, they could also be putting crimes back in the streets.
So I think the program, somebody owes us that much, to refine the program.
Well, everybody likes to pat themselves on the back, but I really think we're together, man.
Drama Company has the pleasure of presenting to you the portrayal of one of the most deadly and influential enemies of our community, King Harold.
Want to buy some dope? I want some dope. Hey, Justin.
Child, where my work's at, man?
Jack, the dope is beautiful.
Man, where my work's at, then, Child? Them my works you got in your arm.
Man, be easy, Jack. The dope is good.
You weren't acting like that a minute ago.
I was sick a minute ago, Jack.
You gonna sell that kid that dope, man?
And then the dope gonna make him slick. He don't want to go to school, don't want to work.
Child, that kid in the 6th grade, child, look at his books, man. And you gonna get that kid out.
Hey, Sean. Hey, Jesse, give me some salt and water. Man, it fell out.
What? Wait a minute,
fell out.
man. How many times you cut that dope?
Man, the dope is good, man. Get shit to
Hey,
man, do something, man. It's hard not beating.
Where the salt
I
at?
say it's hard not beating. Do something. I don't
know.
know. It's hard not beating. Don't leave me by myself, please.
All right,
Please don't leave me.
I don't want no relative, child. I can't be able to go. Miss Andrea Jones has been promoted from a GS3 to a 4. Grace Wheeler has been reassigned as administrative aide to the staff. Leon Zayos to the citizen board, which is us.
All right. Any more questions? I'm not on the board. I'm not on any of these committees. This is about the upteenth meeting I've been to, and I've noticed that all of these meetings are taken up by bureaucratic procedures and Robert's Rules of Order. And I noticed another thing. It seems like the black people here are scared to say anything. I don't know that one Robert's Rules of Order, one board meeting has ever stopped a policeman's bullet or a policeman's club from beating the hell out of a black person. Nothing is going to take place until black people get up off their ass in these meetings and begin to ask some relevant questions about this operation.
All this jiving and lying is only going to lead to frustrations in the damn street, and you can't keep on this lying and what you can see, all this jive. Ain't nobody doing jive.
Just one moment. I promise that
Every meeting that I'm speaking, I can speak. Every meeting.
You can't tell me to sit down, fella. No, you can't tell me to sit down.
Mrs. Duff will give her report. Mrs.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Gentlemen,
I can understand where you're coming from.
You understand where I'm coming from.
Whenever.
Yes, right, yes. Just one second. Right. Wait a minute. This isn't the
We wish to welcome you on behalf of the Pilot District Board to our 4th in a series of meetings involving business in the 3rd District. Question, please.
We are in a section where people goes right by, and often youngsters will try the door. Often they will come to use the telephone.
I have been wondering if there wasn't something that the police department could do to keep them moving.
Why not say, I don't care to be interviewed, but there are a number of men hanging in front of a such a place, and they're obstructing business. We'll come. We'll come.
It seemed to me that it was a more deterrent when they were walking the beat and their presence was felt in the community where I was born and raised right here in Washington. All on 8th Street, all hours of night, walking up down the street, shaking doors. But I don't ever see them in my area.
If you want to do something, you have to start now. Can y'all start now? You know, y'all, everybody complaining about the 14th Street area, and I don't see nothing done. Can you start now on the police problem?
We're like quasi-soldiers. We obey orders. We're told what to do when we do it.
As we say, when to start to move on the race problem, to start to move on the drug problem. With intelligence, whether you're talking about drug traffic or drug addicts.
This was set up in the courts and through the district government. The police obey orders. If they come up with a thing that said, police will, when picking up a narcotic user who has committed no other crime, and we take them down there.
I don't agree with everything that it has to start from the top. It can start with 1 and 2 and 3 individuals.
It's true that that you feel that the police also would welcome these things if they knew that they were available. So two-way street.
If they knew what they were available.
Yeah. I appreciate the fact that you're here and our having been here, that the police are here, and that we're not in a confrontation, but it's something where we're all learning. I learned from what you've had to say here, and I hope that somehow
we have to.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm good. Very good. Very good.
Couple of months in. Anytime we can get together again.
many other things, so we get it.
Might have to have you all done.
Which would have been the best input to the community. Now, this is what was done, and this is the policy that's used. Any vacancy that occurs, we search from within, we try to find a person from within, we stretch it insofar as is humanly possible to put that person in that position.
You got to have a staff to work with, and right now your staff are going in different directions. I like to hear from some other board members. They think they can run this program without a staff. You don't have a staff.
It seems to me that we're just repeating because you weren't here. You're repeating something that we've spent a lot of time on.
I know every meeting just spent a lot of time.
I just got here, but I don't know what the discussion is all about, but none of us on the board, and certainly Mr. Landers, is not satisfied with a lot of the things that are happening. I'm sure that Mr. Landers will sit down with anybody to discuss ways of improving. But see, unless you do that, it seems to me you're being unfair to the community, and you're being unfair to those who have sat down and tried.
But in my business or any other business, when things are not going right, staff is not going right, you start at the top. You don't start at the bottom.
What do you first
Trial
do?
and error. So
What do you
try
first do?
the error, then you fire. That's all.
I know. But it's not done like that.
You might dress it up some, but
You're not going to dress it up at all. You're going to take a spade as a spade, that's all.
My only concern is not to defend anybody, but to talk about a process. And the project expires April 30th. Maybe it ought to just die if people feel that bad about it. I sure don't want to spend no more goddamn time down here. So we have to decide whether or not the project is worth programming to try to continue. And if we're not going to be programmed to continue after April 30th, I think we ought to just amble along and get through and go on home.
Her? I added that difference to this and came up with this.
What is this figure here?
That'll be our total. 268, 268.
Check it on your tape.
All righty.
Don't forget the 10 cents for the at the end.
Uh-oh. So now, this should come to the total of those three. But, so we have to add on to here what's left off. And what is left?
Wrong.
This is wrong as it stands now, yes.
Wrong figure-wise.
Here this came to the board, for the board to make a recommendation to the mayor to submit this to OEO. Is that true or false?
That is true.
Then I'm saying that here the staff work in this thing is done by a bunch of chumps. Don't we have any ad machines in here? Or we need to bring one out here right now. We're going to need that. There's some serious problems involved in this program. You defeat it before you start, just on your math alone.
I was asked for a figure, and I had the figures available.
Were you authorized to give this figure
I
for
am
me?
director of this project, yes.
But you're not in charge of this project
I am
per
in charge
se.
of this project.
I thought the board members were in
The
charge.
board sets policy. I am in charge of the administrative operations of this project. When the board tells me what it wants to do, I carry it out.
Hey,
This is
now,
my job.
right there.
Carry it out.
Right there.
A
The board
part
tells
of
you
it-
what to
A part
do.
of it is the budget.
Right there,
And
back
I can
up.
now talk to the
Back
board.
up. Hey, back up. The board tells you what to do.
The board tells me
Right.
what.
Okay, now that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear.
This will elucidate it. May I ask you, Mr. Landis, has this particular program, the $2 million program, been discussed with the mayor?
No, sir.
We've got
It's
no...
being discussed now.
So you took it on your own to recommend a budget to the mayor?
I did not submit a budget, a figure, Mr. Murphy. We can both play those games in words. I wasn't here, Mr. Murphy. You were. You were a part of it.
Goddamn, don't tell me I was a part of any damn preparation of submitting some board for less the amount that we received initially and double the damn amount. This is the failure of most businesses coming from a business position. How are we going to do anything undercapitalized? How can we function here?
This is what happened.
According to the mayor, I can't look.
I know what you want to spell. If you don't know what you're talking about, sit down and don't be talking to me in front of these people about it.
Talk to the mayor.
And the man knows it now. And if he said he didn't know anything about it when you mentioned it to him, the man knows it now. What's wrong? We ain't never said this. Right there, project, running the damn ground.
You have had people smile in your face and tell you that they were with you. They turn right around and look you in the back. And these are the board members. You're an educated man, honey. You got to know how you're You don't have to stoop to that. Don't make yourself comfortable. You don't have to stoop to that. Don't stoop. You're a professional man. Hold up your dignity. You can do it. Retain your cool. Retain your cool. You're a dedicated man. You've done a good job. Retain your cool.
You never can tell what will happen between now and Thursday. You know, that's a week away.
You've had very poor liaison.
I agree with you. It's got to reach a point that whether I remain there as director or go, or whether anyone else comes, there's got to be a understanding as to what the board can do, what the director should do, where they cleave and where they come together.
Your parliamentary procedure is very lax. That Donnybrook at the last Thursday night meeting was ridiculous. It was disrespectful.
The mayor's whole philosophy is that he does not want any controversy. He wants to keep things down. And if it means bearing the whole brunt of it up there, this is what he wants me to do.
All you're asking is for a person to come in and work with him and explain something. Even the mayor should be able to understand that.
The mayor doesn't like to disturb the waters unless they completely engulf him. You know that.
No. Well, it's 8:30, half hour late, so I'll call the meeting to order. And Mrs. Duff, our chaplain, will you give the prayer, please?
I'm going to give us this more knowledge, more wisdom, more understanding, so we will be able to deal with the issues that confront us in making this project a success. Amen.
If I remember correctly, we were told to come.
It
was 2 weeks ago that we were at the same place where we alerted the citizens to a menace that was getting ready to plague our community in terms of the police department indicating that they were going to fingerprint and mug all persons that were arrested for misdemeanors and for some traffic offenses. Now, we're not opposed to pictures being taken of people who committed felonies, but we think that 90% of the people that are arrested in Washington, D.C. are black people. Hey, man, why don't you go back and try that again? Y'all, good job, man. We just finished meeting with Chief Wilson, and I think everybody ought to understand that our position earlier, 2 weeks ago, was that we were opposed to the fingerprinting of people that were arrested for misdemeanors, and we've been discussing that for the last hour and a half, and we have not gotten a conclusiveness as to whether or not it will continue in the 3rd District.
What are they trying to accomplish? What is the purpose of
But you have to ask the police department what they're trying to accomplish. I think we're just giving our position, and the chief can give his position.
Aren't citizens supposed to have an input into the way the police station is operated?
If it had not been for the Pilot District project and our vigilance, this thing would have gone through. So I think everybody ought to understand this is the kind of thing that the project stands for. This is the kind of thing that the project wants to do because we're there to serve the community. I think that this shows the strength and the success of that kind of project. And I think that the chief can speak for himself, but he said that in general he supports the project and the mayor supports the project, and that we're going to continue to try to get some money for it.
Thank you very much.
Be hitting people in the head.
Isn't that something?
Blood in our hallway. Trash, stink. Got dogs in our building.
And that's the kind of life we got to live, right?
People stop, fight, right on.
We kill each other, don't we?
Right on.
So we got to try to create some love and some feeling in our community for ourselves, right? What do you think about the police?
They ain't nothing but pigs, man. Like, when I was growing up looking for my father, man, like, they picked me up just because I wasn't in school and shit like that. So I said, man, what y'all gonna do with me? He said, I'm gonna take you to the pig pen. I said, no, you ain't. You gonna take me to my aunt, buddy. So he said, all right. So I said, man, y'all ain't nothing but pigs. Y'all know that? I told them right to their face. Then they come up with it.